What's up, beauty lovers, and welcome back to my channel. And today's topic of discussion is makeup that people either really loved or absolutely hated. There was like no in between, like it kind of works. A few of these have been talked about by other people, like other makeup gurus and all that kind of stuff, and then a few of them I dug up from makeup groups off of Facebook. So we're gonna go ahead and go over the list that I made and talk about some makeup. Go ahead and stay tuned. Alright, so like I mentioned, I already made a list of the products that we're going to talk about today on my phone, so I'm going to be looking down at my phone a little bit. Some of these have been heavily discussed in the beauty community, like I said, but I still want to bring them up, and some of them haven't been discussed as much. Like I said, people would mention these in makeup groups on Facebook, and that's kind of where I pulled it off of. I have experience with a ton of these, but not all of them, and I'll make sure that I say that as we go through the video. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is the Subculture palette. Now, I actually used the Subculture palette in my last video. If you haven't checked that out, go ahead and do that. I'll link it down below for you. So when Subculture came out, people were really divided. It was either one of those like, I can't work with it, it's too chalky, it has a lot of fallout, I can't blend it well, or it was like, I love the color scheme, I can make it work type of thing. I am on the side of, I love the color scheme, I actually love this palette, and I tend to make it work for myself. Does it require some more effort than other palettes? Yeah, maybe, probably, whatever, but I was definitely not on the side of the people who are like, this is trash, and throwing it away or and never using it again. Like, I spent $42 on this palette, I'm gonna use it. Maybe I was the lucky one to get a good batch, maybe a lot of people got a bad batch. I don't really know what was going on with this palette, because a lot of their other products are just like, amazing from the beginning, and then you never hear anything bad about them. But Subculture was like heavily divided whether you loved it or whether you hated it. Like I said, I'm on the like pro side of it. It is heavily discounted at like TJ Maxx and Marshalls right now, and I think that says a lot about what the product is itself. Alright, the next one we're going to be talking about is Tarte Shape Tape, both the concealer and the foundation. So we'll start with concealer because that's what came out first. The concealer has this like cult following, especially within like the beauty community, that it is a staple that you need in your makeup kit. And I had never bought it before. I actually still have never purchased it, but I have tried it. It came as a sample in one of my Ipsy bags, so I was able to try it, and I am on the good side of this. I actually really enjoy it. It's very high coverage. It works amazing as a primer for eyeshadow, and it does wonders for my dark circles. So I'm actually very much on the pro side of this. Now, in my makeup groups, I have seen a lot of people say that they absolutely hate it. It's too thick, it's cakey, it like creases like crazy, it makes their skin look drier than it is. Like, every bad thing about concealer, these people are complaining about the Tarte Shape Tape. Now, I hear more good than bad things, but I never hear like the, oh, it's alright, like, I can do without it, but I'll use it too. It's always like, I love it, or it's trash. Kind of going along with that, the Tarte Shape Tape foundation. So this is a relatively new product. I actually have it right here. So it mimics the formula of the concealer. I actually love this. I just bought it because it was on sale at Ulta for 19 bucks, which I think was like half price, I want to say. So I've been looking for like a really hydrating foundation, and this is literally the Tarte Shape Tape hydrating foundation, and someone recommended it to me, so while it was on sale I went ahead and bought it, and I actually really enjoy it. It does not make my skin look flaky like a lot of other ones do. It kind of leaves a dewy finish. It's full coverage, which I enjoy, which is kind of hard to find with a truly hydrating foundation, at least in my opinion, so I really enjoy it. The reason people had a lot of issues with this is when it first came out, the shade range was absolute trash. Like, there was nothing for women and men with darker skin tones, and it was just like leaving out this huge group of people, and that pissed a lot of people off. And I think because of the way that Tarte did it and putting it out like that, people automatically wanted to hate the foundation, even though it's not a bad foundation. I have heard people complain about the matte one being too drying, it creasing, all that stuff. That's not my experience with it. Like I said, I actually really like it, but I could see why people would be upset with this particular foundation because of the controversy that has happened with it. They have since added more shades to it, but because it was discounted, it kind of makes me wonder if it's not doing as well as Tarte anticipated it would be doing. But I have to say it worked really, really well for me. So the next thing on my list is the Better Than Sex mascara by Too Faced. I hate this mascara. I actually hate it. It gave me an allergic reaction. It doesn't like separate and elongate your lashes. It's a clumpy mess. It flakes off within a few hours. I hated it when I tried it. But on like the opposite end of the spectrum, there are people who are like, I only use the Better Than Sex and recommend it left and right. I've never come across someone who is just like, yeah, it's okay. It's always like, I absolutely love it, or get that shit away from me. Going along the lines of the Better Than Sex mascara is the Lash Paradise by L'Oreal, which is a dupe for the Better Than Sex mascara. So I was like, okay, it's a different company. Yes, it's a dupe, but I'm gonna try it and see what that's about. Maybe it'll be better. It wasn't. Nope, it was like the exact same thing except in a cheaper tube. And it did the same thing that Better Than Sex did for me. It didn't elongate, it didn't volumize, it clumped and flaked off within a little bit. Like, it was just, it's a no. It was a total no for me. So those two things I will never purchase or repurchase. Done. Alright, the next one I might get some heat for, but I've noticed this in my makeup groups more than anywhere else, but the James Charles palette. So I wanted this palette so bad. I asked for it for Christmas, and long story short, I didn't get it. That bitch is like impossible to find. It's a super popular palette right now, and I'm not gonna lie, the color story is awesome. It truly is a little bit of something for everyone. I've heard more positive things than bad things about this, and at first I was like all about it. Obviously I wanted it, but I took a trip to the Morphe store, and while they did not have it in stock, I was able to swatch the tester palette, and even my sister, who is totally like not into makeup, could tell that like the swatches were just trash. And I know we can't base everything off of a swatch, but I did have primer on my arm. Someone asked me that, they're like, well, you didn't have primer. I'm like, yeah, I actually did. I had the Morphe primer on my arm. It was trash. I'm sorry. It didn't work for me. Like 3 of the like 6 swatches like barely showed up on my arm. Maybe I picked the wrong colors. Maybe too many people have dipped into it. I don't know. But after testing this palette and then going on Facebook and seeing other people talk about it, I noticed a pattern that people were kind of getting comfortable saying that they didn't like it. I came across several other people who were like, I'm mad I spent 40 bucks. I don't think it's anything special, whatever their excuse. But it was either a cult following, like James Charles palette is everything, or it was rather not. So based off of that, I think I'm going to save my 40 bucks or whatever, how much it is, and just move on. The next thing on my list is kind of just Morphe in general. That it was just this extremely popularized company. It blew up. Everyone wanted Morphe. It was affordable. It was pigmented. It was amazing. They had so many selections. Their brushes were good. And it's still kind of like that. It's either you're a Morphe diehard or you're just like, Morphe's trash, I want nothing to do with it. This is one of the things, because it's not a specific product that I'm talking about, where people can kind of be like, yeah, it's okay for what it is, especially for the price. And that's kind of where I fall too. The 2 brushes that I own that are Morphe, One is awesome and I love it, and then the other one like falls apart, and it's just, I don't ever reach for it. I don't ever use it unless I'm like out of clean brushes. I have a few of their palettes. I love the Jaclyn Hill palette. Like, that is my go-to palette. It's sitting it's sitting right here on my desk. I use this for a lot of looks because there are a lot of neutral colors in it. This is something that, like, if I went through, I would 100% purchase again. On the other hand, I have the 39A Dare to Create, which a lot of people love this, and I do love a lot of colors in there, but there are also a handful of colors that just, like, don't blend. They don't show up. They're just like no pigment, so it's like a halfway in between palette. I also have the 15S, and that is a brand new palette that I just bought, and I haven't played around with it much, but the swatches that I did were extremely pigmented and beautiful. So I'm probably more on the like pro Morphe side than the anti Morphe side, but you do have those people on the anti Morphe side who are just like, oh fuck no. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt because they do make my favorite palette, and maybe I'm biased because of that, but yeah, Morphe in general is just kind of a controversial, why can I not talk today? Controversial company. Moving on, e.l.f. highlighter. I have one of these. I bought it because I found it on clearance. Probably should have tipped me off if it was on clearance, but people either love or absolutely hate them. It's a baked one, so people are like, oh, if you don't scrape off the top layer, you're not going to get any pigment out of it. Why do I have to scrape off the top layer of something that I spent money on in order to get it to work? I hate when people use that as an excuse. It should never be like that. And then you have the other side of people who are like, it doesn't work. It does not work. I am more on the it does not work side. I even scraped the top layer off of it and it did nothing. Did nothing. You have to like literally like dig your finger in there or actually scrape off product to get any payoff on your face. But then you have the people who swear that it's like the brightest thing since I don't even know, and like are comparing it to Anastasia's and Amrezi's highlighter thing. I don't know. So yeah, e.l.f. highlighter, it wasn't for me, but some people swear by it. Let's talk about Fenty. Fenty. So when Fenty came out, they blew the makeup world away by having this enormous shade range for their foundations, and people were in love, like automatically in love before they even had their hands on this product. And I mean, it was great. Like, they had undertones of every single color. They had something that was like almost white in color, and then a shade that was like almost pure black. It was amazing, and everything in between. And people got their hands on this product and were raving about it. And then you started hearing a little bit more about the negative reviews. And I think people were afraid to say anything about it because this was like one of the first companies to really put out a good shade range. And people were like being bashed for saying that they didn't like the actual formula. And so you really didn't hear that many bad things about it. And then finally people started speaking up. And I've never actually owned it, but I have played around with it before. And I'm so sorry, I'm one of the people who does not like it. I just found it extremely drying. And the color, perfect. Like, the color range, and I found one that matched my skin perfectly, but it's definitely a matte foundation, and it definitely works better for people with dry or oily skin. Speaking of foundation, let's talk about the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. For a while, it was a very popular foundation to talk about. It comes with like a little spatula scoop thing that you just kind of smother on your face. It's a really weird bottle. It's not like a squeeze. It's not like a pour out, whatever, which people didn't like either. And then when you open the bottle, it does smell heavily, kind of like paint or something like that. And that really bothered people as well. But then you put it on your skin and that smell dissipates and yada yada yada. I am more on the like it. I do use it. It's a little too dark for me right now, so I haven't been using it recently, but I used it a lot in the summer and really enjoyed it. But I've come across the people who just like cannot stand it, which is unfortunate that it smells like that because it's a very cost-effective product, and people could save a lot of money if they could get past the smell of it, but I understand not being able to handle the fragrance in it. So, and the last thing that I want to talk today, and the last thing on my list, is the Coty Airspun Loose Face Powder. I actually have it right here. It is my go-to face powder. This is in the shade Honey Beige. They have a translucent, they have darker shades, whatever. And this also seems to have, I just woke up my kid. Crap. I'm gonna keep going. This also seems to have a cult following. You either like love it or you absolutely hate it. And I want to say that more people like love it because of the way it performs for such a low cost. But at the same time, there are people who cannot get past the smell of this product. When you open it, it has a strong aroma of something like a perfume my grandma would wear or something like that, and people can't get past that. I've also noticed a lot of people complaining about flashback, and I have noticed that actually. It just doesn't bother me that much, but there's an issue with flashback with this product as well as the fragrance. So if you are not a perfume person, if you don't like the way that kind of stuff smells, I would not get this product. But I personally love how it lays on my skin. It's not overly drying, so it's something that I would keep buying, and it's actually the powder I use every day on my face. So alright guys, that's my list. Those are the products that the beauty community either loved or absolutely hated. If you can think of any more, please go ahead and comment down below. I'd love to hear of more as well. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and as always, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that right now. That's all I have for you today, and we'll see you in my next video. Bye.